Hi, everybody. It's Liz Glass. Welcome to Lowdown with Liz Glass. Thank you for joining me. Today, I have Matt Barré with me from Tucson, Arizona. Welcome, Matt. How are you today?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be on your show. This is super cool.
Well, you know what? It's fun. And I think it's great for anybody that's watching and listening. They get to hear a little bit about you and about your area. People are relocating all the time for different reasons. So, I'm in New York. I'm on Long Island, South Shore, Long Island, and I have a lot of clients that are leaving New York for different reasons. So I always like to make sure that I have options if they're going to Arizona, they're going to Tennessee, that I can say, I have somebody that will take really good care of you because, there's a lot of agents out there that don't take such great care of their clients. And I want to make sure
Yeah.
that my clients are in good hands.
Amen. I was actually just in New York this past weekend.
I saw
And I
Instagram.
don't know why anybody wants to leave New York. It was my first time ever. Absolutely loved it. Like
Oh,
it was
really?
a complete blast. Oh yeah. We did all the touristy stuff and um oh yeah, I love that city. Hey, when you can get 99-cent pizza at midnight, like why on earth would you leave New York City? Like let's be real. Like
And it's
it's amazing.
really good pizza. That's so
It is. It's really good pizza.
It's so funny because I was just in Saturday and Sunday. I went in overnight for a 60th birthday with a bunch of my girlfriends. And, some friends on Long Island that don't go into the city that often. They're like, "Oh, what are you going into the city for?" It's, oh my God, it's so bad. I'm like, no, it's not. I worked in
Yeah.
the city in the late 80s, when I was a kid right out of school, and it was worse then. It's, you
Yeah.
know,
You know, my wife and I were there. We walked everywhere. We took a cab like twice. We walked probably like 25 miles in 3 days. Yeah, it was nothing to worry about. It was beautiful. We had a great experience. Met a couple of Hollywood A celebs, which was awesome. Got a selfie with Eddie Redmayne.
oh,
Um,
yes.
yeah, went to the Comedy Cellar and got heckled by Ray Romano, which was fantastic. So, no, yeah, New York was an absolute blast. It was so cool. It was
That's
really cool.
that's wonderful.
Yeah,
Yeah, I love New
yeah.
York. Born and raised here. I'm on Long Island, so I can hop on an express train from Babylon, and I'm in the city in 50 minutes. I love it.
I
If it
love that.
wasn't
Yeah, I love it.
Saturday and
Even the
Sunday.
traffic, even the traffic, which was, completely annoying, was just exhilarating and amazing. I'm like, I just love this. Um, yeah, it was everything I wanted New York to be. It was that in
That's great.
droves. It was perfect. It
That's
was good.
great. I'm glad to hear you had such a good time. That's awesome.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
So how are things
Look,
going?
I'm actually drinking out of my brand new NYP
Oh,
coffee mug. So
you
there
got
you
to
go.
see me. Yeah.
I'm through tourist to New York right now.
Oh, that's great. That's great.
Yeah.
So how are things going in your market?
You know what? They're going actually still going really well. As everybody is experienced with interest rates going from the twos to the sixes, buyers have pulled back just like they have everywhere else. They're starting to, relook at their funds and what they can afford. Sellers have come to the realization, just like everywhere else, that they can't ask complete crazy numbers over asking or over market value and get it. During 2020 and 2021, during the pandemic, we had a lot of Californians come to Tucson who were leaving California to come to Arizona, Tucson, and Phoenix, and that drove our property prices up 18.9% over 12 months, which was insane. I was having listings that were getting 30 offers on in 3 days and trying to negotiate those and navigate through those. So thankfully, that has all slowed down. Um, we've gone back to what I would call a normal market. So we're back to the 2018, 2019 market where you're getting maybe one or two offers. It's taking a little longer days on market. Um, but we're having to educate people. We're having to educate the sellers that this isn't like it was a year ago, and you're not going to get 10 or 15 offers. You're not going to have appraisals waived and inspections waived and get offered firstborn children. Like it's back to normal. And they're also going to have to give up a little something. Buyers are feeling the pinch. They're having to put more down to bring their rate, or buy their rates down. So they're spending more money, and they're in essence going to ask sellers to either give them a lower price, or they're going to ask sellers for concessions again, just like we were seeing in 2018, 2019. So it's kind of gone back to a normal market, but a normal market with higher price points, and
All right, well,
it's
that's
taking a little longer.
Yeah, what happened during the last 2 years with this pandemic was just, unheard
Oh,
of. And
completely crazy.
yeah, I felt so bad for the buyers. I mean, could you imagine? I kept saying I would never want to be buying a house right now, in the last
Hmm.
2 years, because you had to make a snap decision immediately.
Yeah,
And go 50,000 over. And sometimes you
yeah.
still can't even get it. So
Oh,
I think this is a healthy market right now.
it is.
People don't understand that it was so out of control. It couldn't have continued that way. So now it's, buyers and sellers are going to have to work together to
Absolutely.
accomplish their goals. And it's a little bit more realistic. And as far as the interest rates, I mean, will they go up? Possibly. Will they go down? Possibly. But the best time to buy a home is when you can afford it and when you fall in love with it. Trying to time
Absolutely.
the market is really difficult. If we could, we'd all be very wealthy.
Oh yeah, and I was having this conversation the other day with a past client of mine who bought, and they bought during 2020, 2021. They got a great interest rate. They got the home that they love. But their initial conversation when we first started chatting with them was, well, we're just going to wait for the market to crash. I'm like, you're going to be waiting a long time if that's the case. And when I was chatting with them the other day, they're like, we're really glad we bought and you talked to us about buying because we couldn't afford to buy now with the prices where they are and a 6% interest rate. We couldn't do it. Like they got a low 3 interest rate and it was perfect for them. But I'm seeing a lot of people like, well, we waited, we rolled the dice, we expected the market to crash and it didn't, and now it's held, and now rates have gone up, and we're having to look at lesser affordable homes which don't give us everything we want, or we're going to have to potentially rent for another 12 months, see what happens then, and they're in a bit of a pickle. But as well as I do, it's cyclical. It goes up and down. It changes daily. It changes weekly, yearly. So
And
it's adjusting all the time.
exactly, and it will forever. When I bought my first house, we paid 329 for it. And the person that we bought it from was an estate, and the person that inherited it didn't want to empty it. So they just left everything in the house. While we were emptying everything, we came upon an appraisal for 2 years earlier that was for 529. And we were like, oh my gosh, we got such a great deal purely by accident. But it was when we could afford to purchase a house. And that house was just sold recently for close to $1 million. So it goes up, it goes up, it goes down,
Yeah.
it goes up, but ultimately it ends up up.
Oh yeah, and like I tell all my clients, if you look back over the timeline of history, homes have always been bought, always been sold, no matter what the economy is doing. Even in the Great Depression in the 30s, people were still buying and selling homes because they had a need to sell and a need to buy. Whatever the economy is doing, you just got to be smart and not over-index yourself. Don't be house rich and pocket poor. Buy what you can afford. There's never a perfect time to buy or sell. So we thought the last 2 years have proved us differently. There's never a good time to buy or sell because everything changes. It's always a moving market. So, like I tell my clients, if you can afford to buy, figure out what your monthly payment is. If that's your comfort zone, then we work out what the price point is, and that's where we got to go shopping. You can't have these big dreams of grandeur of the swimming pool, the 4 bedrooms, the 3-car garage on an acre for 2,000 a month. You're not going to get it. Let's be realistic. And that's one thing that we do pretty well is we do really detailed buyer consultations and really figure that out and then set the expectation. So none of our clients go in expecting to buy that beautiful home that has everything and get it for this price, get it for this monthly payment. You gotta set those expectations. And sometimes they decide not to buy, and that's okay. They
And
just
it's
gotta
okay.
it's gotta be
And they'll
right for them.
come back when they're ready. And I love
Yeah.
that you say that you actually sit down and do the buyer consults. I do the same thing. And you have to educate your buyers. And, at the end of the day, they they're looking to you to guide them. So
Oh,
that's
absolutely. You know, what I kind of tell my clients is, yes, I'm a realtor, um, but I like to see myself as a financial advisor in the world of real estate. That's how we have to classify ourselves. And my goal, my true core is to financially advise you on real estate, whether that's buying, whether that's selling, whether that's investing. I don't sleep well at night if I've had you buy a house that you can't afford. And now you've put yourself and your family in financial difficulty. If I've told people, don't buy right now, it's not a good decision for you. You're going to suffer. and they've come back literally 6 to 8 months later, and like, we really appreciate you being so honest. Like, you could have helped us buy a house, you could have made that commission check, we could have been in misery, but you told us not to buy. And that's our jobs as realtors, is to financially guide people in the market of real estate. So sometimes you got to have tough conversations and tell people not to buy, or even tell people not to sell because they're not going to make what they think they're going to make, and it's not going to work for them. You got to sometimes say no just as many times as you say yes, and they actually appreciate that more than you'd think.
And that's exactly why you're an amazing agent. So,
Thank you.
I mean,
That's
there's
so
a lot of
kind.
agents, like you said, that will not do that. They'll say, "Oh, you want to buy a house? Go ahead."
Yeah.
That's wonderful. So if I have anybody in New York thinking about Arizona, I will absolutely point them in your direction. Now, one
I
question I
appreciate
always
that.
I ask every realtor that I speak to is, what's your one crazy or fun or interesting real estate story that sticks out?
Oh,
Well, there's a lot, but sometimes,
yeah.
you just have like one story
So
that,
the one story I worked with a past client who was a psychic medium.
oh,
Um,
interesting.
yeah, and she told me up front she was a psychic medium, and I was like, okay, that's wonderful. But every home I would show her and her husband, she would always come back with, well, the spirits are telling me this isn't the house to buy because of this or because of that. Okay, on to the next. And that was her thing. So I wasn't gonna you know, devalue that in any way. Like, if that's her thing. And again, if that was just a way of her telling me this was in the house, who am I to say,
Yeah.
right? You're my client, whatever it is. So we probably looked at about 10 or 15 homes, and it was just the same thing. The spirits are telling me this, the spirits are telling me that. And I could see the husband was getting frustrated. He loved several of them, and he got them kind of poo-pooed. And I kind of lost myself for a minute of who I was and where I was and what I was saying. And I just happened, I'm a very forward guy. I'm outgoing. I'm I like to make people laugh. But I just happened to say, I was like, listen, we could save a lot of time if you ask the spirits which house we should buy, and we'll just go there. And,
Can you
as soon as
get
I said it,
over
I was like, oh shit, I shouldn't have said that. I shouldn't have said that. And the husband kind of like was in the
it?
background trying to stifle himself and hold it in. And she just looked at me and she went, it doesn't quite work like that, but I get what you're saying. I was like, I am so sorry.
That's actually
Um,
hysterical. I'm sure she
Needless to say, she appreciated it, and she kind of understood that it was, frustrating. And needless to say, we looked at two more homes after that, and the second one after that, she was like, "This is the one." I was like, "Are we sure? Are the spirits good?" Like, it became a joking point. I was like, "Are the spirits good? Like, are we all good here?" She's like, "We're all good. We can buy this house." But yeah, that was a moment where I lost who I was, and was like, "Listen, can you just tap into the spirits and tell them which house to ask them to tell us which house to buy, and we'll just go there."
That is
Because what
hysterical.
are we doing
That's
here?
great. Now,
Yeah.
when she found the one that she liked, did she give you any reasons did the spirits tell her something
No,
specifically, or it was just
no.
felt good
She
about it?
walked in. She walked in. She was like, "Yep, I think this is the one." I was like, "Okay." And I even double checked. I was like, "Are we sure? Like, do you need to phone a friend or ask,
Check in with your friends.
Steve the psychic, who just, that's my persona. I like to, I like to make light of things." And she was like, "No, this is the house we can buy." I was like, "Okay, let's go." But yeah, I lost myself for a minute.
That's a great story. See, I told you, everybody's got something. That one's really good. I love it. So let me
Yeah.
ask, if somebody was coming to move to Tucson by you, what would be your biggest piece of advice?
Oh, okay. Biggest piece of advice I would say is, Tucson is a very dynamic city. We have active military base. We have, college town. University of Arizona is here. We have Davis Monthan Air Force Base. We have a lot of manufacturing logistics, Raytheon, Amazon. We have all these types of companies here. But when people think of Tucson, they just think of the desert. And yes, it is, but that's not just all we're here for. You know, what I would say with people coming to Tucson, what is your goal and why are you looking to move to Tucson? Why are you looking to move to the desert Southwest? Is it for health reasons? A lot of people move here because they want the warmer climate. A lot of people move here because they're active. They want to get out of the city and they want to, ride bicycles, climb mountains, hike trails. Like, what is it you're looking to do? Because whatever your desire is in this city or in Southern Arizona, there's different areas of Tucson that will suit those needs. If you're relocating for work, you clearly want to be down by the manufacturing areas, so you have a lesser transit to work. If you want to be out hiking and biking, then you want to look to the north of Tucson where there's more trails available and hiking. So I would tell anybody if they're looking to move to Tucson is obviously connect with myself, and I can guide you which areas to look in, which would suit your needs, but kind of be clear about why you're moving here. Um, and for what reason. We have a lot of winter visitors who come and visit us every year. They come for 6 months at a time, and when they're here, they then get to travel around the city and learn all the different aspects of the city. And at that point, they turn, what their original intention of buying in that specific area actually changes. And like, we never knew that this whole side of Tucson has this, and that's now where we want to live. So sometimes, especially when you're transplanting from another city, another state, you just think of the city as a ball, but you don't realize the little idiosyncrasies of the parts of the city. And that for me was prevalent coming to New York. I came to New York
Right.
this last weekend. I
You
know of
have so many different.
I know of Manhattan, and Manhattan, down by the financial district's different to where by Central Park, and then you've got the Bronx and the Queens. You've got so many different areas, but it all kind of comes under that umbrella of New York. So definitely connect with either myself or do a little research online and figure out what it is you love, what it is you want, and then look at different areas that can provide that.
Well, if I was moving to Arizona, I would be calling you. So if you're listening, if you want to get in touch with Matt, we'll put your information on the bottom of the video, and you could reach out to me. You will be in amazing hands. Matt, thank you so much for joining us today. You were really great.
Thank you, Liz.
Really appreciate
I appreciate it. Thank you, my love.
All right. We'll see you soon. Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye.